All right, y'all. What is up? Welcome into the Fit CEO podcast. My name is Chad. I am the CEO of the Next Level Coaching Academy. Hopefully, you guys are doing amazing. All right, so we are back to our regular scheduled podcasts. I know the previous one I did a series on how we help students go from zero to $84,000 a month and everything in between. Then we did a podcast about NLCA 2.0, which I'm super freaking stoked for. And now we're going to get back into our regular swing of things of really providing value. And this episode, we have one of our clients on. Her name is Mallory Marks. She is freaking making $66,000 a month collected and $100,000 a month contracted. Absolutely insane. And what we talk about here is we talk about how she can continue to grow. We talk about hiring a VA and if she needs to hire a VA. And we also talk about how to improve her re-sign process as well. So I will see you guys on the inside. Peace. All right, let's do the damn thing. What do you got for me today, Mallory?
All right. So yeah, been a little bit since we touched base, but I had a really great month in June. And kind of, I guess what I'd love to look at today is kind of just like how I can honestly maintain the momentum. Right now, I feel like I don't even need or like want to try to grow a ton. I kind of need to figure out how to just like really optimize everything we're doing and honestly like be a better leader within that. But I think part of it too is figuring out, do I need to have more help with like maybe a VA? Even just optimizing like re-signs and things that I like we already kind of have from that aspect. So yeah, I mean, kind of just open to like having a little bit of an overview of what's going on and any thoughts you have, because June was a really great month.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So if I'm hearing you correctly, goal is you had an amazing month in June. You're looking to replicate that month in, month out, not necessarily grow, which I've heard you say before, and we always end up growing. So I'm kind of going to just throw that one away. But let's go over the success of June, and then we could break it down step by step on what we need to do moving forward. So what's your success of June?
Oh, yeah. So in June, we ended up contracting, including re-sign with new revenue, but new revenue is about 101K.
Woo! In 1 month?
Yes.
Holy shit. That's awesome. Yeah. How much collected?
We collected 66.
Wow, nice. Holy fuck. That's really good. That's like 65%.
Yeah. So that was our second 60 plus K month in a row.
Nice.
So that's what I would really just like to continue at least being at that like 60K plus mark now, make that the new normal.
Yeah. No, this is great. This is great. How many clients did you sign?
That month we signed 44, which was our best month ever of new clients.
Cool. 44 new clients. And how much is that a best buy?
The month before was 30, and that was, or sorry, we've had the month before was 30, April was 20, and March was 31. So we're typically April was oddly low. Like since January, we've been like 29 to 30. So it was a best by a good bit.
Awesome. So needless to say, you need to sign at least around 40-ish new clients a month to maintain this. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, May we signed 30 and we hit 62K. So I think it kind of partly depends on like paying bulls and payment plans and stuff.
Yeah.
Say somewhere in that 30 to 40 mark.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about stabilizing, I would say 35. Let's just overshoot 35 to 45, I think should be the number that you should thrive for. One other question I'll have just in terms of like stabilization is how much ad spend have you spent this past month relative to other months?
Past month meaning in June?
Yeah.
So in June we spent, it says here I spent actually only 1,245, whereas the 2 months prior to that we were like 1,900 and 1,700. It's actually a little bit less.
Cool. So anywhere between 1,200 and 2,000 a month is what needs to get spent. And then one other quick question, was there anything that changed in June that attributed to the success?
Yes, I would say I brought on a new assistant coach at the end of May who has a very large TikTok presence, and our organic expectations from her were definitely, it was actually probably one of our worst ads closing months.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So really you have, just a lot of like catch-up questions before we start giving advice. Really you have two main streams of lead generation. Is that correct? It sounds like you have this TikTok stream and you have ads.
Yeah. I would say maybe 3. My organic does pretty well. But part of that I think is from old ads that then like follow me for a while, kind of nurtured and then come. Because I personally get a decent amount of applications. So I'd say like calls booked straight away from new ads, applications to me, and then applications to my assistant coach TikTok.
Cool. Okay. So first recommendation, we don't need to add any more lead generation streams really. We just need to continue to maximize the 3 that you have. In terms of maximization, I always like to look at the funnel and how we're moving these leads through your ecosystem. So obviously they come through the ad or they come through TikTok, they meet your assistant coach, they meet you, right? Do you have any like secondary place that you store these leads, an email list, free Facebook group, anything like that? Facebook group. Cool. And how has that been for you?
We don't use it a ton. That's actually something I wanted to begin implementing a better strategy for my DMers to reach out in there starting next week. To be honest, they don't do a lot of reach out because they end up messaging a lot of current clients from there, and it just hasn't proved to be a good stream, and they're pretty busy with the other ones. So we haven't optimized it a lot. I just know they're kind of there. And we do post in there. So they're getting nurtured. We just haven't necessarily done the best job of reaching out.
What are you posting in there?
All of our, we also have a Instagram for the team account. So any content that goes on that also goes in the Facebook group, and then a couple lives per week from the coaches.
Okay. So there are some unique content inside the Facebook group.
Like maybe 1 to 2 lives per week that aren't on the Instagram. That's the extent of the uniqueness.
Cool. So one simple little thing I think you guys could do is start having the clients engage more. Are the clients in your free Facebook group?
They are.
They are. Cool. Are you doing anything to get them to engage more?
Not necessarily.
Okay, cool. I think you can get, do you have any ambassadors? Sorry, I know I'm asking a lot of questions. Do you have any ambassadors?
Not like very, very formally. I have a couple that like when I maybe have a closing call that needs a little bit of nurturing, which is maybe 1 a month, I have my select 3 or 4 that I typically contact and reach out to.
Cool.
To the extent of that.
This is more a vision than it is a strategy because I don't have an exact step-by-step for it. But I think either you get a group of ambassadors or a group of clients to really start popping off in your free Facebook group this way. And the reason I suggest doing it that way is 1, obviously it's different when it comes from a client, but 2, it doesn't put a lot of operational tasks on top of you and your team. Because obviously you're already creating content on your Instagram, TikTok, it sounds like the team page. So that would be kind of a tall ask to have your assistant coaches then also do that, which it sounds like they already do. But if you really want to crank this free Facebook group up, I think you do it through your ambassadors and through your clients. So if that means, they get an additional X amount if they help refer a client, or, you give them an additional X amount per live, I think that's totally worth it.
Like they go live or
they go live, or they find ways to create conversation with the current clients inside of the free Facebook group. I would really like you to find a way, and like I said, this is more a vision than it is a strategy because I don't have it laid out, but I'd really like you to find a way to have the clients drive your free Facebook group.
Okay. I like that.
And I think that saves you time and also might even be more effective than you doing it. Okay, so the sales funnel looks great. The lead gen funnel looks great. I don't think you have to worry about that. I think the one thing you should be focused on is cost and how much leads you're getting as a result. So every month you should look at, all right, how much did we spend on ads? Where is that bringing us in terms of leads? And you'll kind of find like 3-month averages, right? So like every 3 months I look at the average, and then I would test increasing the cost and seeing what the new 3-month average becomes. And if it starts plateauing, then we kind of have to look deeper into the funnel. What are the ads? What are the resources? What are the things that are promised? But if it continues to go up, then that means that your ads are performing really well. And then you could just continue to increase the ad spend. So in terms of ad spend, I would look at those 3-month averages. But in terms of overall, your sales funnel looks pretty damn good to me. Okay. So the things that you mentioned earlier in the call was, do I need a VA and re-signs? So obviously you're thinking the right thing in terms of maintaining. You're going to want to keep that re-sign percentage high. You're going to want to keep the churn percentage low. I think you said your re-sign percentage is 37%. Do you have your churn percentage?
I did do all my churn math and stuff yesterday.
Nice.
I would say it, and I can share my screen if you want, or I can share it with you. But I will say I mean, I did it based off the month of June, which, as you kind of just saw, was a little bit of an outlier month. I mean, hopefully it's the new norm, but it does make, I think, the data look pretty, I'm like, is this real?
What is it?
Here, let me share my screen. So I put mine in, this is the the thing you gave me, and I put mine in red.
Oh yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, I started June with 175 clients. We had 12 not re-sign for the ones up for re-sign.
Does that include, sorry to interrupt you, does that include cancellations, all people that have left that didn't leave just because of re-sign?
That is a good question. Let me actually, it does not, but I can quickly, you're right. That is a good point. I can quickly grab that.
Yeah, no rush at all. Yeah, the difference between churn and re-sign is churn includes all those other ones that leave in addition to re-sign.
We had 3 cancels, so that would actually be then 15. So we can redo this really quick.
Cool. Yeah, obviously not a huge difference.
That's not people who, so that's all I was missing, right? Just people who canceled and then who didn't resign.
Yep. Anyone who's left, it's defined as anyone who's left the company within that period of time.
Okay, so then it would actually be, let's even just, honestly, this is 8.5, but let's even just round up to 9 so that this is a little bit, like, because I just feel like this was already such an outlier month. So that would make this, okay, yeah, that seems a little better. 345 clients. So yeah, that would make my churn rate 9%, client max 135.
Nice. So just for the listeners, what Mallory is showing me right now is what we call the pie equation. And essentially this is an equation that teaches the students where they're going to max out at based on their churn rate in terms of how many clients they can sign on and revenue. Right now, just reading yours, you're currently at 175 clients, but your theoretical max is 345. So we have double. We could grow double and still be okay. So that's good.
Yeah, current.
Oh, you're at 196. Sorry. Okay, cool. So you have like 150 clients to grow into, which is awesome.
Which sounds, I'm like, really? But
well, yeah, I mean, if you continue to have that churn rate and continue to sign the clients at the rate that you're signing, then yes, that will be the number you max out at.
Cool.
All right, let's look at LTV here. All right, so your LTV is 3,456. That's really good for fitness. Oh, sorry, no. Did you just say it was 4,000? Did you just delete
that? Was when I had the wrong churn rate, but now it's that was when I had the 7%. But
got it.
Cancellations in now. It's
cool. Average sign-ons 31. All right, so that means that your monthly max, this is contracted, right? Yeah, is 107. All right. So we're kind of pushing on that threshold there. So like I said, if you are trying to merely maintain, then you're going to...
Is this contracted or is it collected? Because this was collected.
That's based off collected?
Yeah.
Pay per client per month, 61,000 divided by 196. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for the correction. All right, so that means that we do have some room to grow about $40,000 more room to grow, which is great. Okay, anyways, getting back to my point here. So if the goal is to maintain, then you already, the beauty of this equation is it gives you all the numbers already. So you would just then have to maintain signing 31 clients a month, right? You would have to maintain this pay per client per month of $311 a month. You'd have to maintain this LTV, and then you'd have to maintain that churn of 9%. So every month, if the goal is truly maintenance, every month you would just run this, see how you did that previous month, and see how far off you are on these metrics. So these are the metrics that you're going off of. So I'd write these down somewhere. So every month when you do this equation, this is, like I said, the cornerstone of what you're looking at. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I would want, you're saying like, if this equaled 65, then that would be maintaining, or right now this is saying
No, right now it's what that is saying is if you maintain these metrics and you're patient for long enough, you'll cap out at $107,000 collected a month with your current sign-on rate,
gotcha,
with your current LTV, and with your current churn.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the things that you need to look at every single month is, did I sign 31 clients? Was my churn 9%? And was my paper client 311? And was my LTV 3456?
Okay,
So
gotcha.
if you could say yes to those things every month and you're patient for a long enough period of time, you'll start making $107,000 a month collected.
Right. Okay, gotcha. So basically maintaining with patient, like if I maintain here, that would end up being growth without having to change anything.
Yep. Yep. That's where I mean, and this is like, there's a degree of inaccuracy here, but roughly speaking, you'll be bringing in about 6 figures a month with these numbers maintained.
Okay.
Yeah. So if maintenance is the goal, that's all you need to do every single month. 31 clients, 9% churn, 311 a month, and 3456 LTV.
I know I could make the vision bigger, but when you see that right now, I'm like, okay, maintenance does sound pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I still don't think like the CEO should ever make maintenance the goal, especially for your staff. You always want to paint the vision. You always want to tell them where they're going, because, and this is like a weird analogy, but it really stuck for me. If you view your team as a fish tank, and they are constantly growing as quote unquote fish, you have to continue to increase the size of the fish tank, which essentially means you have to continue to make the business bigger and the vision bigger to make sure that your employees have a place within that fish tank. Because if the fish outgrows the tank, they're not going to be on your company much longer. So I think the message internally and how you should be thinking is, how can I continue to grow this? But I mean, if you didn't change anything for the next 6 to 12 months, you would technically still be growing.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that this is such a great and helpful thing, because like, I think it does show me I have room to maybe optimize within what we're doing now and still be growing a little bit, and more focus on like, I guess I kind of like to call it like internal growth, like maintain the, maybe size, but then grow internally of what we're doing. But knowing that, okay, when I hit this point, it's time to really focus on growth again.
Just know that internal growth typically means increased expenses.
Yeah.
So if the goal is, let's maintain sales, let's grow projects and staff internally, just know that the profit margins will probably reduce.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. So lots of things to balance in this game of business, but hopefully that's a helpful perspective. Okay. How do we feel on the maintenance plan? You have it right in front of you. Any other questions on the maintenance plan?
I don't think so. I just do think like one big part of it is, and what will help with this is having re-signs be a priority,
Yeah.
because we do well with sales and bringing on new clients, but I would love for it to be at a place where, to maintain this, I don't necessarily have to bring on as many clients or feel like we're trying to push so many calls. If having that just easy in of new contracts was something that was a little bit there more
Yeah.
so.
I'm going to ask a lot of questions now we're going to shift gears to re-sign. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. So 37% is where we're at currently. Question number 1 is, what do your clients tell you in your client satisfaction forums? Did they ever tell you anything like what they want, what they wish was different? What's kind of the general themes there?
Great question. I should review the exit surveys a bit more. We don't get a ton of them, but typically I feel like when it's asked, what is your reason for leaving? It's a lot of answers of like, my contract's up and I feel good to continue on my own. But we mostly do 6 months contracts. So I do feel like there is more room for those. 12 months is a different story. If we did mainly 12 months, I see that. But I think with 6 months, there's definitely that potential for another at least 3 to 6.
Okay. Here's what I want you to do. Here's an action item. I want you to create an anonymous survey for clients. Just call it an anonymous survey. You or your head assistant coach could be the ones that review it. But when you say anonymous, you tend to get more of an honest answer. I want you to think of a ton of different questions pertaining to different aspects of your service. So literally dissect every single aspect, dissect aspects of the onboarding, dissect aspects of the check-in, dissect aspects of different coaches, and really try to get as honest feedback as you can from your clients. And the first thing that you should focus on is always improving the product. So that's step 1. Your survey should give you all the answers there. All right. Step 2 is, let's go ahead and look at the actual structure of re-sign. So first question, who facilitates the re-sign? The coach?
Coach.
Cool. Second question, when do they reach out about resign?
They first bring it up in the check-in that is 2 weeks prior to the end date.
Let's switch that to 4 weeks. And what do they say?
So that is something we are majorly working on, is that there's not a very great structure right now. It's just kind of, hey, your renewal date is up here in 2 weeks. You know, we're making great progress. Would love to continue. What are your thoughts?
Cool.
So it's pretty not structured right now. I will say, and I just got off a call with my head assistant coach. We've been working on like a kind of more macro cycle project. So at the very beginning, when they're onboarded, giving more of like a 12-month layout plan, even if they're only going to be a client for 3 or 6 months, laying out, you know, we'll be in a cut, we'll be in a reverse, whatever. And then we're going to work on in kind of that re-sign script, implementing that back in, bringing that back up where they're at within that. So that's not something we currently have. It is in the works. So that's kind of where we're at on that.
You already hit the hammer on the nail there. That's exactly what you should do. Reach out when it's 4 weeks out. The reason I say that is because 2 weeks, they may have already internally made a decision, right? If they're going to stay or not stay. 4 weeks, they probably haven't made a decision yet, right? And yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I would create a year-long game plan in the beginning, share that with them, go through it, and then re-bring it up 4 weeks out and say like, hey, this is what we've accomplished. This is what we are set to accomplish in the next quarter or 6 months or however you want to frame it. And then use that to bring up the re-sign.
Okay, cool.
All right, next question would be, are they sold over voice memo or phone?
Voice memo.
Okay. Do you may not have this, but do you have the closing percentages or re-sign rates of each individual coach?
I do have that. I do have, it might take a little, it might be easiest for me to share my screen with you again, just because it's not in percentages, but actually, yes, it is. Let me share my screen. My VA is great. Didn't even realize that. All right. Let me move it over here. And if it would load.
All right. These are re-sign rates.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at the
re-signed opportunities and then percent re-signed for each coach.
Got it. Okay. All right, so it doesn't seem like any one coach is bad at re-signing people, right? It seems like everyone's had like at least one poor month.
Yeah, well, I will say, so Hannah, in her defense here, had a lot of clients that were transferred from Brian. So they were kind of close to end, didn't have a lot of time with her. She has the best, like, she kills it. Jake hasn't really been around long enough. Gianna's new. Marissa is one we could definitely work on. She definitely has also the lowest kind of, she has the highest ghosting rate, I guess I should say too.
Okay, so, cool. So the reason I was questioning voice memo or phone is sometimes phone will help increase the re-sign rate. But if you don't want to switch to phone, then look at this, right, often and say, all right, which coach is struggling? And then give them sales skills, right? Like actually train them on particular sales skills to see, is there particular objections that you're getting? Is there, what are the roadblocks? What are the reasonings why you're not getting these people re-signed? So if I were you, or actually, sorry, you have a head coach. If I were you though, I would communicate to your head coach, look at this monthly, see which coach is struggling, figure out why, give them extra training.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of been doing that. Our head assistant coach has a one-to-one meeting with every coach once a month. And they go over things like the ghosting rate, and we kind of have addressed this, and she does a little bit more touch base with Marissa, has her send voice memo check-ins and stuff more to her. So she can kind of even help refurbish like even just the product the entire time, and that relationship fostered too.
Might be worth, sorry to interrupt you, forget about the ghosting for a second, just focusing on the re-sign. It might be worth to test phone re-signs or Zoom re-signs with Marissa and see if that changes the game for her. It may be a thing where you don't have to do that for everybody, but maybe for her it's better, right? So that could be an option or something we're testing.
I like the emphasis on like a little bit of sales skills, soft skills, sales skills too. So.
Yep. Cool. I think the big thing, I mean, you're already at 37%, 40% is kind of like the bare minimum that I like for re-sign. I think you've already changed the big thing, which is the future pacing, right? So you created the year-long plan. You'll reshare that at the resign opportunity. I think that alone will probably get you definitely over 40%, probably close to 50%. So that would be the main thing that I would focus on. And then the second thing I would focus on is making sure that you guys know which coaches are struggling at resign, and then making sure they're getting appropriate training on top of that. And if they really are struggling, seeing if a phone call or Zoom call will help them.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, we can check that box. All right, the last question I know you had was VA. Should you hire another one? Just kind of talk me through why you're thinking that.
So my VA has been like the only VA I've ever had. She is like my best friend in real life. So there's a little bit of like more flexibility that we kind of work through together, because she is awesome at it as well. But she just started school, and so it's just having to shift things to being a little bit later at night when I'm not really working and there to be responsive. She doesn't have quite as much time, and I do just know that we're getting big, and I just don't really know at that other point when I need potentially more than 15 to 20 hours. So I've had the thought of maybe bringing someone else on to do like she may stay and be like the project person, making graphics, stuff like that, and then have someone else who just does wave checks with declines, onboarding clients, things like that. So I just don't know, like in my head I still definitely think I'm like, wow, I'm just a small company, I never thought I'd be here. Who am I to need multiple VAs? And then I'm like, what is the point where I'm actually like, okay, this is real, need more help?
Yeah, I'm probably going to blow your mind, but in the new master coach program that we're making, we're actually going to suggest for people who are like at your level, like 50K a month and more, that they should start looking for their own operations manager as an earlier hire opposed to a later hire. And the reason being is, you could bring on a VA, but they're only going to increase your business by taking away medial tasks, right? An operations manager, you as the CEO could take your business from 0 to 7 figures. You could do that by yourself. You're already on that path to do that. The operations manager is really who should help you take that next step, right? So we're trying to bring that person into the equation earlier because they can manage your sales team. They can manage the DMers. They can help manage your head assistant coach. They can help do all of these things so that you can focus on CEO stuff and really grow the business. So the question that you should answer is, do I want somebody who's just going to take these additional medial tasks, or do I want somebody who can really be my number two and really act as 5 employees? Like a really good operations person is like 5 employees in one. So that I think you're at a point where you could start considering that instead of the VA.
And that's typically a W-2, like
typically. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to start that way. It didn't start that way for us. Paige was taking sales calls and doing operations stuff. And then once I felt good about it and I was like, yeah, she's definitely going to be really good at operations, that's when I told her she could stop taking sales calls and I made her a W-2 employee. But that was October 2020 to March 2021. So like over, what was that, like 6 months? Yeah. So it was like 6 months she was a contractor and then I moved her to W-2.
Okay.
Yeah. So something to consider. The answer to can you get a VA or not is yes. Like, I mean, if you need one, like go ahead, do it. Like, it's not going to make a huge difference in your expenses. But the question I would really sit down and think about, and obviously we're not going to answer it on this podcast, but you may be at a place where you need an operations manager.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was just wondering because like sales wise, I'm still half in my hand in sales. So I'm wondering, I mean, I think that there's other points I should be further on. Like, I mean, I'm still taking half the sales calls. So like, do I need to be?
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. I think you should figure out, do you have any other people taking sales calls for you?
I have one. It's going really well. It's like she's probably edging her end of first 30 days.
Oh, cool.
And it is
All
going
right.
very well, but yeah, but she only can take calls. She can't take calls Monday, Tuesday. So she's kind of, I take calls Monday, Tuesday, and some other days.
Got it. All right. Stabilize that first. Stabilize this closer. Make sure they're good. Get yourself out of sales first. Then consider operations. Bring on the VA for now. That's what you should do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty matter of fact. Cool. Well, hey, this was fun. Do you have any other questions, or did I answer them all?
I mean, I could always have 1,000 questions, but no, I think that that's the big kind of chunk for now. I just like a lot of those numbers, even running the churn rate and everything. I'm kind of like, wow, is this accurate? Because I know June was a relative outlier, but I keep saying, oh, this was an outlier, but every month has kind of, I mean, I've made since the day I started NLCA, like pretty astronomical jumps. Like I'll have 20, 35. 35, 35, 35, 50, 50, 50, 50, 65. Like, so those jumps have been big. So I'm like, oh, is this an outlier or is this the new normal? And like, how do I keep this the new normal?
Yeah. We'll keep going back to that equation that we talked about in the beginning. That will really help determine what you need to do to grow and what you need to do. If maintain shouldn't be in your vocabulary, but if you want to maintain it, that's the way that you do it, right? That's the equation. There was one other thing I was going to say. In terms of your churn rate, I would start looking at churn rate in quarters. So instead of months, because like you said, you could have those outlier months. I would start looking at like Q1 churn rate, Q2 churn rate, so on and so forth.
Okay. Cool. This is sorry, and you can cut me off, but I was just wondering while I was trying to figure this out yesterday, if maybe you guys have a good method. How do you keep track of like, we started the month at this amount of clients, because like I have a total client count sheet so I can see where we're at now. I mean, I went back to like because with Google Sheets, you can see where I was at. So that's, I mean, how I did it, or I subtracted from the onboarding sheet, like who did we onboard this month? But
To be honest, I don't know because Paige tracks that, but my best guess is she probably uses the client list.
Okay.
Which we have on Monday.com, but Google Sheets.
Yeah, too. Isn't it funny? That's when there's been so many things. I was trying to help my VA as she was getting busy this last week, and there'd be things I'd go in on her task sheet, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. That's when you know have grown a business where there's things you don't even know how to do.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like this is totally random, but when you do have an operations manager, the first project they can do to help you is get you over to something like Monday.com, like off of your Google Sheets. Like that's like the kind of like systematic changes they can help you with and stuff like that.
We're getting there. I got a lot of stuff over on Monday now.
Yeah, it's not an immediate task for sure.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that one. And as always, if you did, please make sure that you subscribe. Please share on your Instagram story. I don't run ads towards this podcast. The only way that this podcast grows is through word of mouth. So tell your coach friends, tell your trainers, tell your people. All right. Because I know we're packing a lot of value here. So please share on your story, tell your friends, tell your people, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.